Hello, and thanks for joining me on my channel, Canadian Board Game Replays. I hope you enjoy the game replay that I have for you today. Welcome to Terra Nova. Terra Nova is a simplified version of the strategy game Terra Mystica. In the game, up to 4 players each control one of 10 factions, each with different abilities. Compete against one another to explore new territories in peaceful competition, erect buildings, and achieve certain goals from round to round. Use your faction's special abilities in a clever way to control the largest army at game's end and finish with the most points. This game is a 2-player game that I played with Gislev recently, and we're just gonna play the game here. So the first step is always selecting your characters or the factions. You can see there's 10 of them all across the top of the screen. So we haven't selected those yet. So let's run the video and we'll select those. So Gislav selected the fairy faction, and I selected the sun worshipper faction. So those both have special abilities, as I mentioned in the intro. Let's take a look at the faction cards and what that means. So here are the 2 factions: sun worshippers, myself on the left, and then fairies on the right for Gislev. So the way these boards work is at the top left corner, or the top middle, I guess, is the special ability. Then we've got the sailing actions down there. Those are not unique at all. The next are the palaces, left and right palace. Those can have unique abilities. I think typically the left palace is unique and the right palace is not. And then in the bottom left corner, we see the terrains. So all 5 terrains are here. The top middle one is your native terrain, where you're habitable. That's what you're trying to convert all the Texas to. So in my case, it's the deserts. In the fairies, it's the forest. Then the next level down, so for me, the red and like the blue-black, those are 1 shovel to make into my desert. And then the forest and the ocean are 2 shovels. With the fairies, we've got the red and the ocean tiles that are 1, and then we've got the desert and the black and blue ones that are 2 shovels. So it's much more expensive to convert those 2 shovel ones than it is 1 shovel, and then you don't need to convert at all the ones that are your native land. So let's run through. I'm going to mouse over the special abilities and just show you what they are, because they do come into play fairly often. So for the sun worshippers, begin the game with 3 houses. Place your 3rd house after all players place their 2 starting houses. So usually you only get to place 2 starting houses on your tiles on the board. In this case, you get to place 3. So that is a nice strategic advantage. If you want to spread out a little more, you can put a 3rd one. Or alternatively, if you want to put 2 closer together, so you can try and join them and make a town faster. So that's kind of the idea with the sun worshipper. So let's look ahead to the palaces now. We've got a left palace and a right palace. So we're going to look to those now. So here, the left palace for the sun worshipper. Once built, gain 2 power in each income phase. In addition, you now have a personal special action. With this, once per round, you may make an adjacent terrain space on the same continent habitable for your faction. You may immediately build a house there for the normal cost. This does not count as using shovels, but it counts as building a house. The key thing with this one that I discovered when I played this character for the first time is when you use this ability, you can make any tile habitable. So you can focus on or save it for the ones that take 2 shovels because they're obviously a lot more expensive to convert. So I would save that ability normally for that, unless there's extenuating circumstances, which there always can be. But that's part of the strategy there for the left palace. Save it for the 2 shovel tiles because they are more expensive. Now looking on to the right palace, we'll see what that ability is. I think this one is generic for all of them, at least from what I've seen so far. So once built, you can found a town with a value of 6 rather than 7. However, the town must still consist of at least 4 buildings. Note, constructing this palace could immediately cause you to found 1 or more towns. So when it says 7 to 6, what happens is when you've got 4 tokens or 4 buildings that are adjacent to each other, you become eligible for a town. But you have to have a value of 7 buildings, a value of 7 building on those 4 or plus tiles. And the values are on the left side of the tokens there. You can see for palaces, it's 3. For trading posts, it's 2, and for houses, it's 1. So when you add up the value of all your buildings, it must add up to 7. So if you build a right palace, that number goes down to 6, which may not seem like a lot, but it's quite an advantage, and it can really allow you to build a couple towns fairly quickly. So that is an advantage. But I mean, so is the left, having the personal ability as well. That's a pretty good advantage as well. So let's keep going. So here we have gain 2 additional power in each income phase. So that's pretty valuable. I mean, it's straight up, not fancy, but those powers can be used for a number of actions, which we'll go back to when we go back to the game screen. I'll give you a little tour of the game screen before we start actually getting into the game, and that will become advantageous there. That's good. And now we'll take a look at the palaces. So their left palace ability, once built, gain 3 power and 2 money in each income phase. In addition, you now have a personal power action. With this, once per round, you can spend 2 power to perform a complete make habitable and build with 1 free shovel action. The usual rules of the make habitable and build action apply, including any points scored by the round scoring tile. If you want to transform a terrain for which you need 2 shovels, you may buy the second shovel with money. If you immediately build a house, you have to pay the normal building cost. So this one's kind of good. It's not as good as the Sun Worshipper one, and you can see it specifically has wording here that if you do something that requires a second shovel, you have to buy the second shovel. So it's not as good, but the scoring is also better in terms of 3 power and 2 money. Is stronger than we were for the Sun Worshippers, so it's kind of give and take a little bit. So let's take a look at the right palace, which is going to be the same for these guys. I can just tell by the icons that are being used, but let's confirm that with some verbiage. Okay, so here we say once built, you can found a town with a value of 6 rather than 7. However, the town may consist of at least 4 buildings. Okay, so it's exact same as the other ones as well. So one thing I also wanted to point out here that's interesting on the faction cards is the way the power buckets work. If you look in the top right corner of each of our faction cards, you're going to see 8 power cubes distributed between bowls 1, 2, and 3. This is a really interesting mechanic of the game, probably one of the more unique items of the game. So what happens is your power cubes move from 1 up to 2 up to 3, and once they're in 3, they're usable. So if you ever see anything, like gain 2 power, what it means is move power from one bucket to another. So no power will move from 2 to 3 until everything has gone from 1 to 2. So in the case of the fairies, you can see they have 2 down below. So if they got a card that said gain 2 powers, those 2 power cubes would go out to bowl 2. So it wouldn't actually increase their usable power at all. But then the next turn, if it says, gain 2 power, given that bowl 1, assume bowl 1 is still empty, it would promote those power cubes up to the third bowl, and then they become usable. And power can be used for all kinds of stuff. We'll see that when we go back to the gameplay. But on the faction card, you can also see here on the right side, just to the right of the power bowls, there's a conversion. So you can do 1 power for 1 coin. And that's always available to you. If you need another coin just to buy something or to execute an action, that is always available. So that's a good look at the faction board. Now let's go and take a look back at the gameplay and start the game. Okay, we're back to the main playing board now, and I just wanted to give you a little tour of the playing board before we actually start the gameplay. On the left side, you can see some of our building options. This is where power cubes come into play. So you can see on the left side, it says how many power cubes. On the right side is the ability or the action. So the first 2 are bridges. And keep in mind, these only get to be used once per round. So if the other opponent uses it, you're out of luck. So you got to consider when you want to use it versus when your opponent's going to want to use it. So the first 2 are bridges. And then the next one is sailing level. I'll explain what that is later. The next one is 4 power for 7 coins, straight up. And then we get 4 power for 1 shovel or 6 power for 2 shovels. So all those, like I said, are first come, first serve. So you have to keep that in mind. Across the bottom part of the screen are the scoring conditions for each round. So you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 scoring icons, and those make up the different scoring criteria for each round. So once we get to the end of the 5th round, then the game ends. So the scoring rules or scoring bonuses for each round are, I'll just read them off to you. So the first one, you can kind of tell from the icons once you've been using it for a while, but the first one says each time you build a house in this round, you score 2 extra points. The next one, each time you found a town in this round, you score additional 5 points. Then the third one, each time you upgrade a house into a trading post in this round, you score 3 points. And then the fourth one, each time you advance your faction token on the sailing track in this round, you gain 2 points. It doesn't matter how you get the increase in sailing. And then the 5th round and final round, each time you upgrade a trading post into a palace in this round, you score 5 extra points. So the last 2 parts of the board to show you, in the top right, just to the left of our names, are what they call the bonus tiles. So those are things that you get to select per round that give you added bonuses. So, and you get to, each player gets to choose one for the round, and then the first player of the next round gets to choose another one. So they're very interesting, and they can change the game significantly. And you generally want to try and coordinate those bonus powers with the scoring ones we just talked about. So in the first round, we talked about being, for every house built, you get 2 points. So you want to come over here, you want to say, okay, what's going to help me build a house? So the first one, you just get 3 power, 3 coins straight up, straightforward. The next one, you get 3 power, and you get a +1 to your sailing ability, which I'll talk about in just a moment. Then the third one, you get 2 coins, and you get a free shovel. Then the next one, you get 2 power, and you get 2 bonus points for every trading post that's built at that time. Again, it's this one. It isn't the number of trading posts you build that round, but the number that you have built at the end of the round. Nuance, but a bit of difference. And then the last one, you get 4 power, and then every palace that you have at the end of the round, you get 4 points. So those are kind of interesting parts of the game too. You can build in, like I said, you can coordinate them with the scoring round bonuses, and that's kind of interesting. So the last part is the actual board itself, obviously. So looking at the board, you can see it's made up obviously of a lot of different hexes, and kind of looks a little bit Catan-esque to me. But obviously very different game, but the layout's kind of similar. So you can see obviously you've got several different land islands, and they're divided up by water, and you can tell the different colors of the hexes. So now you can see that we're basically placing our starting houses now, and you can see the different colors, and you can see it's actually my turn to place a house right now, and you can see all the desert hexes have a blue circle around them because I can build into those. So we're each going to build 2, and then I get to build my bonus 1. And you have to build the initial ones on those circles. And then from there you can branch out. And you can see from my perspective that what the buildings are in terms of like the number of shovels. And you can see those are on there as well. So right now we're just picking our starting houses. So I'm going to let that play out, and we'll finish off that part of the round. So we each have 2. So you can see there, I got the extra 3. So you can see on the left side, I built 3 in the kind of left middle. So my thought there was that I was going to use those to try and combine them and try and found an easy town. Doesn't always work out that way, but that was kind of my strategy starting off the game. That's why I clumped my 3 close together. There are also bonuses for like what would be considered kind of like the longest road in Catan, which would just be basically the number of tiles with buildings on them you have adjacent to each other. And for the purpose of that, your sailing ability will play. So let me explain the sailing ability. I've mentioned it a bunch of times, and I haven't explained it yet. So the way the sailing ability works is, if you've got a building, for example, let's look on the left side, far left, the yellow house I have there. Now, if I wanted to build onto the red square across the water, there's 2 ways I can do it. I could build a bridge, which basically allows me to cross it and makes it part of my potential town area. Or if I have sailing level 1, I can go up to 1 tile across a bridge and build. Now, the nuance there is that unless you build a bridge later on, it isn't eligible to help you build a town. remembering that a town, you have to have at least 4 adjacent tiles that have buildings on them, and then you've got to have 7 building points to build that. So in this case, if you have a sailing ability, you can build there, and it does count for your longest road, but it does not count as part of your town building. So bit of nuance there. So like for example, if you had level 2 sailing, then you could go onto the river and then go over 1. So in this case, I could actually hit that black blue one beside the red tile if I had level 2 sailing. So that's what it's about. And then obviously it does drive some of the victory or scoring conditions, in our case, the round 4 scoring condition. So, if you're going to get sailing, if you can save it for that, all the better, because that is a flow point. So it isn't the number of sailing points you have at the end of the round. It's how many you get during the round. So that's an important piece to remember on that side. So okay, so let's just get back into the gameplay. So we're at the point now where we've all selected our initial houses, and green has built one of their houses on their turn. I should also explain here that the rounds basically go until you can't go anymore. We're going to alternate back and forth, and then you basically spend all the money you can, and then once you run out of money, you basically, in power, you pass, and then you move on to the next round. In the top right corner where our names are, you can see a couple things that are really important. One is the total number of coins you have, so that's right under our name. Under that is the income for every round of coins, so that's important. Then if you slide over to the right, that's the power income per turn. And then just above that, you actually have the number of power cubes in each bowl that we saw in the faction. So in my case, I have 0 in bowl 1, 3 in bowl 2, and 5 in bowl 3. That becomes really important because the bowl 3 ones are the ones you can use, and then the other ones are the ones that are promoting to try and get into bowl 3. So that's important. And then in the bottom right corner, you'll see like the little stream or the river thing there with the 1 beside it, or on the ferry side, a 2 beside it. Those are the longest road. So you can see here on the right side, the ferry has 2 houses together, and that's why they've got a number 2 there, whereas all mine are separated, so I only have a 1 for now. Obviously that's not going to last long, but that's where it is. So, and you can also see here that as Gislev built houses, so they're starting to get victory points for those houses based on the round 1 scoring condition that we talked about. So enough talking. Let's get into some of the gameplay. I'm going to let it run, and then I'll kind of summarize what's happened, and we'll discuss. Okay, so I'm just going to stop here for a second because Gislev just used his first bonus tile. So he had the bonus tile that is the use of the free shovel. So good time to use that. We're trying to build more houses. This is a great time to use that ability to expand. So now we can, summarizing our positions, you can see that green has that 1 lonely house by itself in the top middle, and then it's building kind of a town on the right side middle as well. We've got 3 there. And for me, you can see I ended up building on that tile that was across the river that I was talking about. It was red, but then I converted it into desert and built a house on it. So total score, albeit very premature, is 2 stars for me and 4 stars for Gislev. But that's kind of meaningless at this point in the game anyways. It's too early for that. So let's let it run some more. So you can see here in the log that I spent money to get some more coins. So that's an important way to keep the kind of the round going. The more coins you have, the more things you can do. So that was the move that I chose to make there, and because I did it, my opponent cannot use it this round. So it's good to get on those early. So yeah, so we're just building up houses, trying to get those scoring. The +2 score in this round, so we're all trying to get as many houses as possible. You can see I built another one in the middle there, the yellows on the middle, so just trying to connect up with my other bunch of houses. So that's what I'm thinking about here. I'm trying to think, how can I connect all of my houses together so that I can get a town. You can see the round 2 goal is scoring bonus is you get 5 points for every town founded. So I'm trying to get to there. That's my strategy, to try and attach these guys together and then upgrade to get enough points. So, but it is a challenge in the second round. That's a little more comfortable in the third round, but these things are all random and it makes for a different game every time. So that's one of the beauties of this game. The fact that those tiles are random really drives the gameplay and makes it different every time. So let's keep on going. So you can see here Gislev passed. So by passing, you end your turn, but then you also get first dibs at the bonus tiles for next round. So you can see that they chose the bonus on the left side there. You can see the kind of green token on the top there. They chose the 3 power 3 coin one, which makes sense because we're trying to get to towns, and to do towns you have to do more actions, and so that makes logical sense. So then I pass, I go second. Okay. Let's keep on going. So I use I use my ability straight up for the shovels to build more houses to connect. You can see here on the left side now, I've started to connect up those guys as well. I've got 3 in a row and I've got one across the river. So let's keep on going. It's Gislev's turn now. So he's building up that town on the right side. He's got 4 together now. Just got a 5th. So he's really building. So okay. So this is a good example. So he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 adjacent tiles, which means he's eligible for a town, but he has to add up to 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 building points. So he needs 2 more building points in order to do that. So he can either get that by adding more houses, or he can start upgrading to trading posts. Now the problem is he doesn't have a lot of coins. He's only got 2 coins left and only 1 power left in his bank. So probably doesn't have the coinage to do that. So he's probably just gonna have to pass and leave this one alone. Yep. So we all moved in here, and neither of us ended up getting a town. So that was a bit of a wasted scoring opportunity, but it hit us both the same way, so it's fair. That's just the way the game goes. So now this round scoring is the trading post one. So every time you build a new trading post, you get 3 points. So that'll be our goal here, to get the most trading points possible. That's what I'm going for at this stage. So upgrade a trading post there. And then this will probably start leading to houses coming up. So yeah, or to towns coming up. So for some reason, the Gislev is building in that, attached to that area up top. So he's trying to get maybe a town in that area. So here you can see what's happened here. I now have 2, 4, 6 in this left area, but because it's not connected to that one across the river, I don't yet have a town. If I bridged it, I would. So let's see how this plays out. Okay. So we're just going through and picking our bonus cards for the next round, as we're starting to pass as we finish off. Okay, so now, now I'm founding a town because so if you see here what happened, I built a bridge from the top trading post to the house, and that connected those two from a town perspective. And now I have 2, 4, 6, and 1 is 7. So I'm now founding the town. And then when you found a town, you get to pick a bonus. And yeah, so I did the sailing track action, and then you've got to place it. It doesn't really matter where you place it, but you have to place the town on one of your existing properties. So I did that. And you can see here the reason I did that is because the 4th scoring bonus is the sailing level. So I saw that, and I used that knowledge strategically to choose that option when I found the town. So that worked out nicely. I got to add to my sailing level. So you can see my sailing level is 1. It's in the bottom left corner of our little player cards in the top right corner of the screen. So I've got 1 and my opponent has 0. So that was a good scoring opportunity for me. Okay, so there I'm getting my bonus score like we talked about for doing the sailing level. And that was actually, I actually spent money to do that. So on the faction card, you can spend 8 coins to advance the sailing level. So I had the 8 coins. I figured it gives me the +2 bonus. So, why not use that as well? So that helped me get some extra points. So let's keep going. So one thing I should point out here, when you do an upgrade of any of your buildings, if you're touching one of the opponent's tiles, then they get a +1 power. So if you ever see in the log where it says like the top, their polity 101 gets 1 power via structures. So that means that someone upgraded one of their buildings that was touching mine, and then I get a +1 power anytime that happens. So you can see he's frantically building up his trading posts and towns. That's kind of the way we score at this point. The sailing level isn't a great scoring card, so a lot of times people will ignore it, as it looks like they're doing that. But trying to get in position to take advantage of the final round, which is the palace building. If you can build 2 palaces there, the 10 bonus points goes a long way. So let's see how that plays out. So it looks like we're all passing here on the log. Yep, Gislev passed. So Gislev made some conversions, converted some power into coins, which is a good thing to do at the end of the round. Because what happens is if you have power income and you've already got 8 in your top bucket, then you basically lose it. So you might as well convert it if you're in that situation at the end of a round. If you think you're going to go over, then best to do a conversion and convert them into coins that you can actually use next turn. There's no maximum on coins, so that's a smart conversion move if you're going to overflow with your income. So don't want to waste the stuff. So, all right, so we keep on going. So now we're in the final round here of scoring. So yeah, let's keep on rolling. So you can see I built a palace here on the left side. See the palace icon. So and it's important to note too. I don't think I really discussed this, but there is a limited supply of the house, trading post, and palace pieces. So I mean, you're never going to run into the palaces because there's only 2. But with trading posts and houses, you can run out of pieces, and that's on the faction card to watch that. So you do have to worry about recycling those pieces so you can build more of them in the future. So yeah, that's good. So in terms of the palace, yep, that's all built. Let's move on here. So you can see green just founded their second town on the right side there. By upgrading the trading post, they now got that to 7 building points, and that gets them a town. So that's good. And they pick the one where you get 5 victory points and 6 coins. So we're getting to the end of the game. So the victory points is really what really counts. So Gislev's got a lot of coins here. Got 18 coins to use up. Let's see how they do it. Let's see what they use that for. Okay, so they built their palace, so that's good. So we each have 1 palace now. So, and now here I go ahead and build a second palace. So obviously that's the goal because you get points for the palaces, but you also get the bonus points. So, okay, so now the game is over. We're just going through the ending scoring phase. So before that happens, let's just take a look at where we stand. So what we're looking for really is what's the largest number of connected building tiles that we have. So if you look on the right player card, you can see we're tied at 8 each. So that means that we're going to split the bonus for getting that reward. So you can see down here in the bottom and at the bottom of the screen to the right of all the scoring tiles, you've got the scoring actual rules. So on the right side, you can see first place for connected houses or buildings gets 12 points, and second gets 8. So we basically split that, so we'll both get 10. So it'll be irrelevant because we're sharing it. So let's let the end of game scoring fall out here. So 61 to 44 is the ending position. So what I want to do to help analyze this a little bit more is show you what the final scoring screen actually looks like. And it actually gives you, this game actually gives you a lot of information with the scoring screen, which I find really interesting for analysis, which is cool. So, okay, so down here, I've highlighted the victory points section. So, you can go through, the left column is myself and the right column is my opponent. The left side is always the person who wins, and the right side is the person who did not. So you can go through and you can see, so at the bottom, victory points earned total, 61 to 44. But then you can go up and say, okay, where did I win? Where did I lose? And I look at this as a way to improve for future turns. So you can see here, victory points earned by scoring tile, 27 to 12. So my opponent would look at that and say, oh man, I really missed a lot of opportunities on the scoring tiles. And I think they probably missed opportunities on the sailing level, because I don't think they got anything on their sailing level on that round. And then I had two palaces, they had one, so they missed out a bit there. And there could have been a little bit of missage on the housing and the trading post one as well. So if I were the opponent, I'd be looking at this, oh shoot, bummer, that's not good. And then here, victory points earned by bonus card, so 14 to 6. So those are the bonus tiles you pick in the top right corner. That's not always indicative, because those tiles do a lot of things. Victory points are just one of those things. You can get a lot of other benefits from them, so I wouldn't pay too much attention to that one. So here, victory points earned by town tile. This is similar to the bonus cards in the sense that I wouldn't take a huge amount of info or improvement out of this stat, just because, yeah, I got 4 points out of my town tiles and they got 14, which looks like a big difference. But the thing is, those town tiles have a lot of other special abilities that are very valuable, that can be more valuable than victory points in some ways. So I wouldn't really look into that one too much. So then victory points earned by area scoring, so 10 and 10. That's the one I was talking about where we split it. It would normally be like 12 and 8. But since we both had a value of 8, we split it 10 and 10. Then victory points by resource scoring, 1 or 2. This one really doesn't matter that much. It's basically you get some points for leftover resources you have. So again, that hardly ever scores more than 1 or 2, or in a lot of cases 0. So that's that. And then the last one, victory points earned by faction, palace, or ability. Neither of us had that one. And then victory points earned by progressing on the sailing track. So this is why the sailing track one was so nice. Not only did I get points in the scoring tiles, as we talked about, but you also get points on the separate line item for the sailing track. So that's it. That's the game analyzed. It was a good game. It looks like a big difference, 61 to 44, but it really isn't. There's a lot of things that could have gone either way in terms of how they played it. So it was actually a pretty close game, and I had a lot of fun playing it. So this is the game. I hope this inspires you to go out there and give it a try. There is a great tutorial on there you can go, and as always, I'll put a how-to link in the comments if you want to get some more instructional information on it, as that's not always the area I focus on. So it was a great game. I appreciate you listening to this on my channel. If you enjoyed it, please feel free to subscribe so you can get notified when I post new content, which I'm going to try to do a couple posts every week. I might post some additional games on games I've already covered. I might post some new games depending on what interests me or what people reach out to. So if there is a new game that I haven't covered that you want me to cover, feel free to put in the comments. If there's a game I have covered and you want to see more of it, put that in the comments too. I'm here to have fun of myself, obviously. That's my number one goal, but also to give you content that you enjoy and that's fun for you. So yeah, please do that, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.